Come be a part of Doc Holliday's Rock-Splitting Politics with your host, Dr. Ed Holliday. Hear the voices of liberty speaking all across America. Doc Holliday provides thought-provoking interviews and commentary about the issues and actions that are afflicting this country and what we need to do to get America back on track. Get fired up, get inspired, get on board with Doc Holliday's Rock-Splitting Politics right now.
And here we go.
And once again, that's the sound of rock cracking. You got Doc Holliday's Rock-Splitting Politics right here on webtalkradio.net. That's webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Dr. Ed Holliday, and you're listening to us right here in getting close to the end of June. We've had a big month when it comes to politics. We covered last week and actually last 2 weeks D-Day because it's so important to this country. So go back if you haven't listened to our D-Day shows. Go back and listen to the last two Rock-Splitting Politics. But what has happened since then, there's always waters being stirred up. But I have to tell you, last week when President Trump was interviewed by George Stephanopoulos and mentioned that he might listen to if somebody told him he had dirt on his opponent in 2020, would he listen? And he said, yeah, we listen. He might turn it to FBI. But you would have thought that we had somebody who was like Benedict Arnold. But Trump was called all kind of things, along with being treasonous. And they never even stopped to think, did this happen? Did somebody actually get dirt on an opponent? Did Hillary Clinton, did she use any of that? Well, we got a lot to talk about on today's show. We're going to use some clips from Sean Hannity show and some Laura Ingrahm clip. But this is going to be a fun show because that's why I titled it about the talking heads of the Walking Dead. These are zombies. These people, they have drank so much Kool-Aid, the left-wing Kool-Aid. They hate Trump so much. Their sight, their ears, their entire bodies are so drunk on hate for Trump that you can't even say they drink the Kool-Aid. You can say they are embalmed with the Kool-Aid. They are the Walking Dead, the talking heads of the Walking Dead, the left-wing zombies, the left-wingers. They have become zombies like the Walking Dead. And it's just, if you don't believe me, just take a listen to Sean Hannity here as President Trump. I tell you what, let's play this clip that President Trump, when he talked to George Stephanopoulos of ABC News. If you have not heard that, let me play this clip for you. You got to remember, George Stephanopoulos was once the one of the leading campaigners for President Clinton and worked in his White House. And George Stephanopoulos has been known to plant questions when they let him moderate a Republican debate. He purposely puts in questions that will not stump them, but he, like in a Republican primary, he puts in questions that he knows the way they answer it, they'll come back and use it to just hammer that whoever is the presidential nominee. He did it to Mitt Romney about immigration, and they've done it on Trump, they've done it on others, and he was trying to trip Trump up. And let's just take a listen to what was said that made all the ruckus last week.
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
You want that kind of interference in our elections?
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it. If I thought there was something wrong, I'd go maybe to the FBI.
when President Trump said he thought, yeah, I may take it, didn't say he would. This is hypothetical. And the left-wingers came unglued. The talking heads their heads exploded. They were the walking dead. They have no brains. They don't care about the truth. All they care about is hating Donald Trump. They hate on him so bad. I mean, they're dead to corruption. If there's corruption from the Obama administration, they don't look at it. They can't hear it. They don't see it. They don't care. If there's any kind of news, it doesn't matter. If it's not anti-Trump, if it helps Trump in any way, then it cannot be news. It has to be against Trump before they can report it or talk about it, even say it's true, even say there's something real. It has to be anti-Trump. These people, like I said, they did not just drink the Kool-Aid. They are embalmed with the Kool-Aid. They cannot think for themselves because of the bitterness that is just sunk into their soul so deep that they can't let it go. They hate so much Donald Trump. And when he said these words, they just flew out and caused all kind of ruckus and just said all kind of things. Let's take a listen from Sean Hannity's show. Take a listen to this.
The stark reality, the sad truth, is that we have a president of the United States who's not playing on America's team.
This is a welcome mat. It is a come hither, not just for the Russians, but for the Chinese, and not just for Donald Trump, but for every Republican running.
Direct, irrefutable evidence on tape of criminal intent. Right?
The founding fathers' worst nightmare.
Treasonous behavior.
Incredible, amazing. I think stunning and disturbing.
I'm waiting for the constitutional conservatives to rise up this morning and say enough.
We hear, I am standing here willing, ready, and able to collude. It is unthinkable what he said. It disintegrates at the very core of what our democracy is about.
I think it is treasonous. I think it is compromising. I think it is dangerous.
This is beyond, I mean, it's really, there is no sense of what's the word I wanted to find? Any ethical sense that informs his comments.
If I am a foreign intelligence officer today, the message I got from the president's own words yesterday was it is open season on U.S. political figures in 2020.
This is phenomenal. The president said if called, unsolicited, if he'd listen, if bad, he'd call the FBI. Now, here's the point. The people you just saw, as we predicted, so blinded in their hatred for President Trump, they don't even realize they were set up like bowling pins, showing their ridiculous hypocrisy, because they're the very same people smearing the president hour after hour, every second, minute, hour of every day. The same ones that ignored, let's see, foreign election interference that was bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton and the DNC.
Well, you heard all those people and what they had to say about Donald Trump, and they have used the word unglued, but that's it. It's not. It doesn't give justice to what this whole. And sometimes it's usually one or two, or in most cases when there's a scenario over the past years, maybe even one network get onto it, but the whole entire liberal left-wingers in the news media, they have just blown their heads off. They are the walking, talking dead. And because, like I said, they are so drunk on the hatred of Donald Trump that they can't even be journalists. They can't even seek out the truth. And I thought Sean Hannity really played that so good as far as letting people understand the left-wingers are so just, they're nincompoops. They are stuck on hating Trump that they can't even do their jobs as journalists to seek out the truth or to go explore leads. And that was just, it's just there when you realize Hillary Clinton did everything that Donald Trump made a hypothetical thought about would he do it, but Hillary Clinton did it. The entire team did it. They took dirt from the Ukraine. They took dirt from the Russian dossier via a British national. Wow. Yeah. Are we being influenced by foreign countries? Well, the Hillary Clinton campaign sure was. Well, we don't hear much of that, do we? Well, let's take a listen again to Sean Hannity, what he had to carry on and say after that.
Hannity history lesson. Let's go back to 2016. In order to skirt campaign finance laws, Hillary Clinton's campaign, the DNC, they funneled money as a law expense to a law firm called Perkins Coie. Perkins Coie then hires the op research firm Fusion GPS, who then hired a foreign national, I thought this shouldn't happen, to collect Russian lies dirt on Donald Trump. That dirt became known as the Christopher Steele dossier. And as the New York Times suggests, likely it was Russian misinformation from the beginning, full of Russian lies, as the New York Times even admits, contents, disinformation. Hillary bought, solicited, paid for the Russian government lies. And then Obama-Biden's government, members of the deep state, members in the intel community, members of foreign governments all work together. And let's see, they spread the Russian lies and disinformation throughout the government and leaked to the press, Washington Post, the Clinton sycophant David Corn and Michael Isikoff, because they wanted the American people to believe the Russian lies Hillary paid for in an attempt to rig an election. After all, she got her way with rigging the primary. It's like I'm the only person who cares about Bernie Sanders. No outrage by any of these people. She bought it, she sought it, she paid for it, they spread it, they tried to use it to impact the election.
Thank you for listening to Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics, because you are not going to hear this on CNN. You're not going to hear this on MSNBC or ABC or NBC or CBS or PBS because of the hatred that is just it's ingrained in the media, and they talk so much about collusion that I really believe, just like Adam Schiff in Congress, they still believe there was collusion, and they can't believe there was no collusion. They can't believe Robert Mueller meant to say this case is closed. No, they think, we got to take what he had to say. What he couldn't say, he must have given us a signal to go find it, because evidently he couldn't find it. But we know it's true. It has to be conclusion. It has to be collusion. And the conclusion of all this, they cannot accept. They cannot accept that the Mueller report is over. Donald Trump is exonerated. He is. You can say, we don't exonerate people. That's what Mueller said. But it's exonerated because they couldn't find anything to charge as criminal. Now listen, this is the important part. The Democrats always want to be on the attack. But the attack dogs that they have, they can't answer the question, why did Hillary Clinton, just as we heard on Sean Hannity saying, Hillary Clinton used this foreign dirt from the Ukraine to get Paul Manafort not only thrown off Trump's team, but to smear Trump. And once Paul Manafort left the team, and now where is he? In prison, and trying to put him in a more notorious prison. And that's because, I'm not saying he wasn't guilty. He did something years ago nobody would have known about. And they say, the news leaked out from the Ukraine, and this is what the Clinton team took. But I don't even think it leaked out from the Ukraine. How should I know? I don't know. But what if the Clinton administration went there, well, not the Clinton administration, but the State Department under Hillary Clinton for a time, what if they had gone to the Ukraine seeking information, seeking these things, and then did they pay some people to help bring the information out of the Ukraine? Would we have used our intelligence sources for things like that? Oh my goodness, did an intelligence source help a campaign? Was it an arm of the Clinton campaign? Somebody needs to ask these questions, and they should be asked by congressional members. And would Adam Schiff ask such a question? Shifty shift? Oh, I don't think so. Listen, hey, thank you for listening to Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics. I want to remind you, you're listening to us right here on webtalkradio.net. That's webtalkradio.net. Glad to have you. Tell your friends and neighbors about Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics. You'll hear things here you won't hear anywhere else. And I want to remind you, we do have a book. I say we because it's written by Dr. Alveda King, Dr. Ed Holliday, Dr. Alex McFarland. You can get that book called Bedrock Truth. You can go right to the picture on a copy right there on the front page of our Rock Splitting Politics page. Click on the picture. It'll take you right where you can order the book, and there's other books there you can order. And we'll be glad if you do that. Take a listen to one of our friends right here.
Hello, America. Todd Starnes here from the Fox News corner of the world, and you are listening to Rock Splitting Politics. Sweet mercy.
Woo, all right.
That's good.
Hey, that's our friend Todd Starnes giving us a plug, and we appreciate Todd Starnes, what he does at Fox News, Fox Radio. Now, listen, I also want to let you know that in just a minute we're going to talk about some happy news that the Democrats got. Happy news about polling. Is polling always happy? But before we get to that polling news, I'll talk to you that's making the Democrats happy on the second half of the show. We're going to start off with this bit. Well, after President Trump made such a windstorm of Democratic zombies, the Walking Dead and the zombie heads just came unglued. Well, he came back with an answer. I'm going to play his answer. Now, this came on the Sean Hannity show when Jason Shavitz was subbing for Sean last Friday night. But I just need to play what Trump said, and then Jason's going to talk about what, again, just the way the left came unglued. And one of the zombie heads, the zombie head, it was the former acting FBI director Andrew McCabe, who's in the middle of all this, he's the one that Strzok and Page said we'll check with our insurance policy. He's the one that, well, I'm going to let you hear what he had to say after Trump said that last week, and have something to say. But listen to this clip from Sean Hannity last Friday night.
You don't look at it, you're not going to know if it's bad. How are you going to know if it's bad? But of course you give it to the FBI or report it to the Attorney General or somebody like that. But of course you do that. You couldn't have that happen with our country. If you look at what happened, Hillary Clinton, with the money that ultimately went to Russia for the fake dossier, that total fake pile of stuff, that money gets paid. And by the way, the amount of money that was paid, and was paid by Hillary Clinton and the DNC, and it went to Russia, that's the criminal.
The president was right. It was Democrats who actually paid for foreign dirt in 2016 election, and it was the deep state who helped them every step of the way. Recently, Congressman Nunes summed it up perfectly right here on this show. Watch.
I know we always say, oh, this happened at the very top of the FBI. But I will tell you, if that attitude permeated throughout the counterintelligence capabilities, and if retired FBI agents think it's okay to use counterintelligence against political campaigns, I think we've gone a long way in this country, because it used to be the Democrats who didn't support the counterintelligence capabilities because they thought that they were spying on their campaigns and on political enemies. It ends up, in fact, they took them over, they corrupted the whole thing, and it seems like that's the attitude throughout the FBI, at least for the former and most of the former officials.
One of those high-ranking FBI agents was Andrew McCabe. He was fired for lying, but now he's calling for Trump's impeachment, all while defending the Clinton campaign from charges of collusion. Watch this.
The line is very clear. It is not acceptable to take anything from a foreign power, certainly not a hostile foreign power, certainly not the government of Russia. For a campaign to hire a law firm an American law firm who then turns around and hires an American research company who then contracts out with a foreign individual. That is not illegal. Campaigns are allowed to hire individuals, foreign individuals, and to pay those individuals for the services that they provide. And I would add, too, Chris, that in the example of the Clinton campaign, it was that very foreign individual who stepped forward and provided the information he had collected to the FBI simply because he was so troubled by what he was seeing.
So troubling from what he was seeing, Andrew McCabe. You were working in the FBI at the time, high up in the FBI. And you were making decisions. You said that Christopher Steele was so troubled by what he'd seen. Did you also know, which you did know, the State Department said that Steele was desperate to see Trump defeated? Did you know that? Yes, you did, because we know the State Department told you that. We know others told you that. And you act like Christopher Steele is some kind of savior and you were trying to help him out. No, you had to fix in for Hillary Clinton. You had to fix in. It's easy to see. It's easy to see. And you think it's hard to prove. You think you're sitting well. Well, I don't know. You look like a coward to me. A coward to the truth, Andrew McCabe. And you're getting on the shows and you're blowing smoke like that. Don't tell me that you thought you were doing something for America. You were doing something for the Clintons. Now, in your odd way, in this zombie world of the Walking Dead, of what the Democratic Party has become, you probably thought that you were trying to save the Democratic Party so they could save America, but you didn't realize the American people elected Donald Trump because people like you are so elitist and think you know what's best. The American citizens said it's time to let somebody else be in control and clean out the swamp. You are part of the swamp, Andrew McCabe. Andrew McCabe is part of the swamp. He's coming up like a zombie head of the Walking Dead. And as we'll hear him more and more, I hope we hear him on a stand, and I hope we get to the truth of the whole matter. And he thinks, and everybody thinks, like John Brennan and Clapper and Comey, they all think that they put together a plan that can never be proven, that they were doing this and breaking laws by spying on Americans, by unmasking Americans. I hope all of this comes out and we finally get to the bottom of it, and I hope some people will pay the price by going to prison so people won't ever try to do this again just because they are drunk on power. Drunk on power and bureaucracy. That's why we have a Congress. That's why we have an executive branch. And that's why we need some truth finders here. And I hope we got an attorney general that can get it done now. And we'll have to wait and see. We're just going to have to wait and see how it all comes out. But we're following it right here on Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics. Now, I told you we were going to talk about some of the polling. Yes, last week some of these polls came out that Donald Trump is in trouble. He's losing to Biden in Texas. He's losing in the states that he won, like Pennsylvania and Michigan and Wisconsin. But guess what? I can remember when George H.W. Bush ran. He was vice president. Reagan was going out of office. He couldn't be elected to a third term, so Bush was running. Bush 1 was running. And you know what? It seemed like he was 20 and 25 points behind Dukakis. He would already become the Democratic nominee. Don't let these posters fool you like they did the last election, 2016. No, they really won't. They won't. The left always wants the right to feel that if they're overwhelmed, there's no reason to even try. It's a constant drip of trying to keep proud conservative Americans from thinking they're ever winning. Trump is winning, folks. He's winning, and 2020 looks better, but it means we have to work harder because the left is working so hard. Socialism, they want it to be on a rise. It's on college campuses, but it doesn't mean it's everywhere in America yet. Everywhere. We need to have faith. And I talked about the polling. Let me play this little clip from Laura Ingrahm about the polling, and then we'll wrap up this show.
Now, ever since the Mueller report flopped and word dropped of a new investigation into the origins of the Russia probe, Democrats and their media toadies have been desperate for some good news. And with new polling out, they think they've found it.
This Quinnipiac poll shows him down by 13 points to Joe Biden there.
In fact, the poll shows him trailing in head-to-head matchups with all the top Democratic hopefuls.
He's behind all the top-tier Democratic candidates by a significant amount. Those polls that came out last night are trouble for him.
He's getting absolutely blistered by everybody in the field.
I see a lot of signs of people trying to take back the country they love.
Now, before the Democrats self-combust with excitement, a historical reminder. At nearly the same time before the last election, the same Quinnipiac poll had Hillary Clinton beating Trump by 18 points, 50-32. Now, head-to-head national polls this early, they just tell us precious little. That's just a fact. During the 2016 election, Trump, what did he do? This is a much better way of looking at it. He promised peace and prosperity and higher wages. And voters, he's delivered on all fronts. Record low unemployment, more money in most Americans' pockets, and we haven't gotten mired down in some new thorny military conflict. All good stuff. In other words, Democrats might want to hold off buying their tickets to the Biden inaugural ball.
Great job, Laura Ingrahm of Fox News, and that's just a great job of summing up where we are. And the Democrats are really getting desperate. That's what you see what's going on with Congressman Nadler and his Judicial Committee, the Democrats, putting John Dean last week on there. John Dean of the Watergate era. John Dean, who's a liar and a felon. And he should have served prison time, but he's the one that cut the deal to got himself out of prison to feel on everybody else in the Watergate. So John Dean, and I think one of the congressmen called him the ghost of Christmas past, and he looks like a ghost, but of course he is, like he said, he's made a living on blaming Republican presidents for everything that's wrong. Every Republican president that comes up, he says there's something worse than Watergate, and one day he won't be able to say it anymore because his days on earth will be over. I'm not saying I want them to hurry up or anything. I'm just saying this dog's going to hunt for one thing, and that's Democrats. I don't know what in his brain was warped to the fact that Republicans are always bad and Democrats are always good, but that's John Dean, and it looked like a circus. Congressman Nadler made it a circus. When you bring John Dean, it has nothing to do with this case, and all they want to do is give it the visual of a Watergate, a visual of an impeachment. And Congressman Nadler, you think you are secure in your district, but I tell you what, you're secure in the laughter of the comedy of dunces. Can you not just see Congressman Nadler with one of those big old dunce caps on, sitting in the corner because he's been naughty? I mean, that's all I see. When you bring John Dean up, and you're the chairman needs to wear the dunce hat and sit in the corner of the Congress. All right? That's all I can see after his performance last week. Pitiful. Just pitiful. I'll just have to say that. Listen, this is Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics. You're listening to us right here on webtalkradio.net, and we're getting more and more into politics. We'll tell you what's going on next week on Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics. See you then.
Thanks for joining us today, and remember to listen again next week for another edition of Doc Holliday's Rock Splitting Politics. You can order Ed's new book, Bedrock Truths, by clicking on the book cover right in front of you on the screen, or visit DocHolliday.org. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next week.